Portsmouth once felt like one of English football's most charming stories. From 2003 to 2010, Pompey were a familiar face in the Premier League. Not always the best team, but always there to fight, surprise, and entertain. They were the sort of club supporters loved to root for, proud and full of heart. Then, in just a few years, everything changed. Poor ownership choices, debts, administration, and a series of bad breaks sent the club tumbling from the top flight to the fourth tier. Yet, against the odds, Portsmouth climbed back. This is how that shocking fall happened and how the club staged its epic revival. In the 2000s, Portsmouth felt like a steady Premier League club with a special character. They weren't Manchester United or Arsenal, but they had famous moments: FA Cup success, big nights at Fratton Park, and a loyal community of fans. For many neutral fans, Pompey were a cult club, one you wanted to see do well. That positive identity made the later collapse feel even more painful for supporters and players alike. Trouble began when ownership changed hands rapidly and without proper checks. After some initial investment and success, Portsmouth were caught up in a wave of ambitious spending that didn't match sustainable income. Owners came with bold promises and quick plans, but some turned out to be unreliable or underfunded. Sudden sales, strange deals, and poor governance left the club exposed when the global financial picture shifted. The real crisis arrived in the early 2010s. Financial problems deepened. Portsmouth entered administration not once, but twice in a short span. That triggered automatic penalties and wiped out stability. In 2010, they dropped out of the Premier League, and only 2 years later, Portsmouth were relegated again to League One. But the fall didn't stop there. The nightmare continued through 2012 to 13. The club suffered a prolonged winless run. The entire playing squad left due to unpaid wages, and Portsmouth finished the season relegated to League Two for the first time in decades. The legal and financial mess was brutal. HMRC winding up petitions, arrests of owners linked to fraud, and a series of failed takeovers all helped push the club into collapse. Why did it fall so fast? It played out more like a slow-motion disaster than a single mistake. First came the owners. One after another they arrived with big promises, flashy announcements, and plans to spend their way back into respectability. At first it felt exciting. New faces, new money, new hope. But the handshakes and headlines hid problems. Deals were rushed, control changed hands too fast, and behind the glossy statement, some backers had shaky finances or secret troubles. When one owner's cash dried up, there was always another hurried takeover to pick up the pieces, and each handover left the club a little weaker. That shaky ownership fed into reckless spending. Ambitious transfer windows and high wages followed, paid for on faith rather than steady income. Pay rises and expensive signings looked like short-term fixes, a way to keep the fans happy and the results ticking over. But it was like building a house on sand. When revenues fell or a TV deal shifted, those bills suddenly looked enormous. Contracts that once seemed manageable turned into heavy chains around the club's neck. When the money problems became public, the punishment came fast. Portsmouth entered administration, and the rules brought automatic point deductions. Games that might have been saved by a single goal were instead lost by invisible penalties on paper. Each deduction made survival harder, and relegation felt less like bad luck and more like a sentence passed down from the boardroom. At the same time, legal storms made everything worse. Winding up petitions, demands from HMRC, and even arrests connected to ownership terrified potential investors. Banks and buyers stepped back, terrified by risk and headlines. While lawyers and accountants fought in meeting rooms, the players and fans suffered on the pitch. What began as a promising climb became a chain reaction. Unstable owners led to reckless spending, which led to administration and point losses, and those legal entanglements sealed the club's near collapse. The fall was not only about numbers, it hit the city and its people hard. Fans felt betrayed. Volunteers, local businesses, and matchday communities faced real loss. The idea of a club being passed down in families suddenly looked fragile. Many supporters feared the club might disappear. Interviews and fan voices from that time show real anger, sadness, and determination. emotions that drove the next chapter of Portsmouth's story. The turnaround, community ownership, and slow rebuild. After the crisis, local efforts and fan groups stepped up. The Pompey supporters' trust and community stakeholders fought to save the club. In April 2013, Portsmouth became one of England's biggest community-owned clubs. That move stopped liquidation and gave fans a real voice in the club's future. Community ownership didn't instantly fix everything, but it stabilized the club and allowed careful rebuilding. From League Two, Portsmouth began a long climb back. It wasn't quick or smooth. The early seasons under fan-led control were hard, yet the club slowly rebuilt an identity, more sensible recruitment, focus on the academy, and a steady football plan. By 2017, Portsmouth had returned to League One after winning promotion from League Two. Over the following seasons, they consolidated and grew again. The real crowning moment came in April 2024, when John Massigno's side sealed promotion to the Championship, bringing Portsmouth back to the second tier after a 12-year absence. That success felt like proof that patient, sustainable rebuilding can work. Promotion brought joy, but it also revealed new challenges. The Championship is a tough division to survive in. Financial demands grow again. As of the 2025-26 season, Portsmouth find themselves fighting near the bottom of the table and facing relegation pressure once more. That shows how fragile returns can be without the right structures, funding, and leadership. It also highlights how easy it is to slide back if a club relaxes the hard lessons learned during collapse. Portsmouth's story gives a couple of clear lessons for any club that cares about surviving and growing. First, ownership matters more than big spending. Fancy transfers and short-term splurges can win a few games, but a steady plan and honest money protects a club for years. Second, football needs better checks and rules to stop risky buyers taking over clubs. Strong vetting and clearer financial rules help protect fans and communities from sudden collapse. Third, community power can save a club, but it is not an instant cure. When supporters take part in running a club with realism, careful budgets, and long-term thinking, recovery is possible, and often more lasting. Finally, patience is essential. Promotions and headlines feel great, but steady growth, smart recruitment, and good governance keep clubs safe. Portsmouth shows hope is real, but hard work and proper leadership matter most. Fans must stay patient and hold leaders accountable. Today, Portsmouth is a story of both heartbreak and hope. The fall was one of the worst in modern English football, yet the revival, from administrators and empty coffers to community ownership and promotion back to the Championship, is one of the most inspiring. Pompey's path shows football is about more than trophies and money. It's about people, pride, and resilience. The club remains a symbol. When a community fights for its club, miracles can happen. But long-term success needs steady hands and clear plans. Portsmouth's future is still being written. Fans remember the bad years and celebrate the good ones. They are aware of the dangers of repeating mistakes. For now, supporters watch nervously as Fratton Park hosts each game. They know the ground and the badge mean more than a single season. If the club keeps those lessons front of mind, honest ownership, smart finances, and respect for the community, Pompey might keep surprising us again. If not, the fall could happen again. Either way, Portsmouth will always have a story worth telling. What do you think about Portsmouth? Do you think they'll be back in the Prem anytime soon? Let us know in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe as well. See you in the next one.